Another welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbao. Now tonight, the scheduled Ghana Football Association Congress, slated for October 5, 2023, has been postponed due to a court-ordered adjournment related to the dispute between Kinfaiso Football Club and the football governing body. Now, the new date for the case is set for Thursday, October 12, 2023. Originally, the Ghana Football Association had planned its Congress in Tamale for September 27, 2023. However, Kinfaiso applied for an injunction on the process, causing the committee to reschedule the assembly for early next month. Now, Kinfaiso, relegated Ghana Premier League team, aims to maintain this restraint until elections for National League representatives, regional football associations, and related bodies are finalized. Furthermore, Kinfaiso seeks to assert that a valid Congress cannot take place to elect the president until new representatives for the Executive Council are duly elected. Meanwhile, George Afriyie has also filed a case with the Court of Arbitration for Sports to challenge his disqualification from contesting the Ghana Football Association presidency in the upcoming elections. However, former presidential aspirant Neil Armstrong Motogbe believes the former Ghana Football Association vice president's chances of winning are slim, hence should abandon his ambition. He spoke earlier to my colleague Nathan Alato.
The process of deepening the operation of democracy in our football space. He himself is on record to have said that he respects the rules, he respects the laws, and where it is that he feels that there are grounds and good grounds for him to pursue justice through the channels of the FA and go all the way to the Court for Arbitration for Sport, he would go there. So that's what I make of it. I mean, I went through it. In our time, you didn't go to the appeals committee. When I stood in 2011, you'd go to, there was an arbitral panel, you go to arbitration, and whatever the arbitration panel decides, if you're still dissatisfied, you will continue on to the Court for Arbitration for Sport, which is like our court for last resort when it comes to football. I decided after going through the arbitration and still failing to make it through the nomination that I just rested at that point. I felt that going further wouldn't serve any useful purpose. You know why? If my intent at the time, based upon the energy I spoke about earlier on from friends in football, was to become FA president, to lead our football in a direction that I believe would enhance or augment whatever it was that Mr. Nyantichi had achieved. And mind you, he had achieved, we were all part of it. He had achieved major and mega, and he was still growing. I decided that rather than continue to pursue a legal process, let me rest my case. Also based on the fact, like I said earlier on, that after going through the nomination process that was so difficult. You know why I got some of my, just remembered, some of the people who nominated me were Ghana coaches, the Coaches Association, schools and colleges, security services, but they don't make up the larger bulk of the Congress. They didn't make up the larger bulk at the time. They still don't make up the bulk. The bulk is made up of the clubs. 18 Premier League clubs. At the time, I think it was 16. Yes.
48 Division 1 clubs. I couldn't get even 4 or 5 of them to nominate me. What business then did I have thinking that I would go into an election and win? The realization came rather late in the day, I would admit. I had expended some resources. But I think maybe it was just God's way of saving me from dissipating further resources or additional resources that wouldn't land anywhere. And I therefore decided that once I'd been disqualified, tried the arbitration, didn't work, let me just rest it and still position myself to continue to make a contribution to our football.
Right. The current case is still within the court space. George Afriyie is resorting to CAS. In the hypothetical situation where this wasn't really the case, as in there was no CAS up, would you have probably told George the same thing that you're telling me now, to look at the reality of the situation and maybe back down and Kurt to go?
You know why?
You would have told him that?
Yeah, I would have told him that. And I would have told him
to back down and let Kurt go?
Yes, I would, because when I stood, the people were quietly goading me on, but deeply, as they knew that they weren't going to support me.
You see that as what is happening with George?
No, now, look at the number of endorsements that we have seen. Are we to disbelieve the lives of Dr. Nyao Tamaklo? Are we to disbelieve the likes of Amaka Matefio, Moses Amapaka? And some of these persons, in the last election, 2019, everybody in our football space knows where some of them stood in terms of who they were backing. Yet, these persons have come forward and said, we are not saying that our football is perfect. By no means. There's so much more work to do. But given the signals that we've seen of these 4 years of Mr. Kurt Edwin Simeon Okraku, we think he's laying a good foundation and deserves a second. It's not I saying it.
Okay. So if Kurt called you after this show to tell you that he wanted you to get on the ground with him to campaign in the last few weeks in the build-up to the election, you do that?
I wouldn't blink twice, man.
You do that?
I'll move it.
You'd move it?
I would move it.
Ahead of the Betfair Premier League Week 3 encounter at the Sunyani Coronation Park, coach of Bofokotano, Fipamanso, says his side is well prepared for a win against Accra Folk, despite their pedigree. He urged the fans to do more than they did in their first home game.
President, I think we've done a lot of work since the Monday, and against us, yes, we know they have the name and they've been in the system for a very long time. They are a very strong side, and to me, and two teams in Ghana without mentioning House of Folk. So for me, I think that we know what they can do. But then, about your preparation, I think we've also done a lot. And in first two games, even from Abrankase, I think after losing our first game against Sky, you didn't lose any competitive game yet. Now it's almost 6 games now. So that and that confidence going into this game. So yes, we know it's going to be tough, but I think we've done a lot of work. The first game, you could see the support was total. You could see at some point in the be United banner, so it tells you it's not only Bofakwa, it's the whole of the region. So for us, we know you were the 12 player in the stands, in the people of the support.
Well, goalkeeper Tano of Bofokotano, Emmanuel Kobe, says the playing body is also poised and determined to play well against Accra Folk.
The new promoted side that we came, we are doing our possible best. As a player, you don't have to be fierce and matches. You have to be proud playing, especially big teams like Folk. So we are very determined, like we will play very well. I'm very excited that Bofokotano is on top of the league because it has been a while that we got to a place like that. Last week, very great. Some supporters now, they almost see by a manager, and mostly I'm a per match. I boy stadium. It me feel a big man like this. And sometimes manager against us now. Even I took my mother on a case on beba painty like already me expect huge supporters. Na game no so players we were motivated. Na me person no my motivated pass and say a gamer it me my work. And nso training good training at home can be no actually say everybody is ready to play as a folk bia willing to be as a folk nti ye were motivated e dia ho komo say baby e do no eni kwan say samba e chibi nti we say Saturday by 5 o'clock na Bofakwa no still that's what that fit with 7.
Yeah, so that game will be on Saturday at the Sunyani Coronation Park. You might want to make a date. But elsewhere, Kumasi and Santiko themselves have had a slow start to the Ghana Premier League season with 1 draw and a loss, picking 1 point out of a possible 6. Head coach Prosper Nato Ogum has been speaking to the media, and he says that he needs time to build a strong team for the club. Now, the Porcupines face Carly United on Sunday, but he's determined for a win.
It's a process. We are building a new team. We are building a team that can compete at any level. And building a team that can compete at any level, you need some patience, you need some time to be able to do that. I know the club I'm coaching is all about result. But the result will come if we do the right things from the beginning. And to me, as a technical staff and the Palace and the IMC, we are doing the right thing by trying to make sure that we put a formidable team. So they have to be. Were we able to consolidate the possession in the middle of the park? And then when we were able to consolidate the possession in the middle of the park and we got to the final third of the opponent, were we able to create the chances? And if we created the chances, were we able to hit some shots on target? How many of them were obviously supposed to be a goal ball? How many of them were quarter chances? These are the things. And I'm sure if they sit down in the comfort of their workplaces and their homes, wherever they are, and they look at it from this point of view, they can easily tell whether the team is a hopeful team or it's not a hopeful team.
Well, let's stay in Kumasi, and in his memory, former Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency, Honorable Daniel Okyeme Aboakgye, beg your pardon, has had a newly built Astroturf named after him following his sudden demise after a short illness. Now, the gesture, which was initiated by the current Member of Parliament and Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Asenso, was carried out earlier this week. And we have more in the following report.
It was a highly competitive contest in the Bantama NPP parliamentary primary in 2020 between Francis Asenso Boakye and Daniel Okyeme Aboakgye. The then incumbent MP, Okyeme Aboakgye, lost the seat to Asenso Boakye. Notwithstanding, the cordial relationship forged in their formative years continued, according to Francis Asenso Boakye, who spoke to Joy News a few hours after the death of his predecessor on Saturday.
I remember he drove about 4 hours from Chicago to East Lansing, Michigan to attend my graduation. So we have been very good friends since, and even though we were in the contest, we still remain very good friends up to now. He was a very hardworking man, very brilliant. His work in Parliament, especially on the floor of Parliament as a great debater, is something that everybody will attest to. This sad news is indeed a very big blow to us.
A day after, the Bantama MP commissioned a new Ghana gas-funded Astroturf in the area, fitted with floodlights and other facilities to ensure football is enjoyed at any time. The MP chose to honor his predecessor, Daniel Okyeme Aboakgye, by naming the facility after him.
The commission decided on the unfortunate demise of our respected former Member of Parliament, who happens to be a very good friend of mine. And giving the service to this constituency and Ghana as a whole, we thought it would be proper and appropriate to name it after him in this country.
A total of 151 Astroturfs have so far been constructed under the present NPP government. Minister for Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, explains the importance of such facilities.
I want to come to sport the government institution that has invested because before this assumption into office in 2017, we have not been Astroturf in the entire country. As we speak, we have 151. They have just commissioned the 151. Next week, we have commissioned 150. That's 150. So we have done so much for community sports facilities.
Meanwhile, contractors of the facility, Wembley Sports Complex, explained standard practices were deployed for the project.
So it is a concept that we are pushing to ensure that every constituency in the country at least will have one Astroturf to begin with, fitted with floodlights, so that in the night they can also play football. One significant thing about this Astroturf has to do with the fact that it is also multi-purpose. You can use it for funerals, parties, weddings, concerts, and all that.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Let's get to Spain now, and the Spanish police has raided the offices of the referees committee as part of an investigation into Barcelona's alleged corrupt payment to an official. Now, Barcelona faced charges of corruption over payment made to Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, a former vice president of the committee, in return for favorable refereeing decisions, which they have since denied any wrongdoing. Now, the Spanish Civil Guard searched the Spanish Technical Committee of Referees headquarters earlier today, and sports commentator with Catalan Radio, Enes Marcia, has been speaking to the BBC on the reasons for the exit. That's all we have for you on Prime Sports tonight. We'll be Razak Musbah. We'll be back same time tomorrow. Have a lovely evening.